All right. We can get the group, come join me up here at the front. Don't be shy. Come on up, there's room for everybody. Okay, if I can get a few of you to slide down here, I'm going to need that screen before I'm done. Are we good? All right, well, this is a day that we have been waiting for. In June, I announced that I thought it was time the city of Detroit stepped up and took action on climate change. And too much of the climate change discussion in this country, as far as I'm concerned, is empty performance. Lots of people competing with how eloquent a speech they can give, but when you actually look at what are you doing, we haven't done nearly enough as a country. And when President Biden passed the Inflation Reduction Act and essentially put a 30% subsidy on the conversion to renewable energy, it became possible for the city of Detroit to switch our 127 municipal buildings from the traditional power from DTE to renewable energy in solar fields. And that's 127 buildings, includes City Hall, it includes the police stations, the fire stations, the rec centers, the DPW yards, et cetera. And so in June, I announced that we were going to seek neighborhoods who wanted it. And in 2013, as somebody just reminded me in the hallway, I ran on a campaign platform that said every neighborhood has a future. And I meant it. I did not believe any neighborhood in this city should be forgotten. But we have got stretches of this city where there is one house every 2 blocks, 2 houses every 3 blocks. They are blighted areas which are victimized by chronic repeat dumping. But in these blighted areas just a few blocks away, in many cases are nice neighborhoods. And people who stayed, and you're going to hear from some of them today, they don't want to be near the dump sites. And so this seemed like an opportunity. And I said, we are not, as a city, going to pick the solar fields. This is not something where government's going to tell you what to do. This is for neighborhoods in the city that think they have been forgotten to take your destiny into your own hands. And if you want to host solar fields and get community benefits paid to the adjoining neighbors, you can do it. We started at the O'Shea neighborhood at 96 and Greenfield, and in 2015, we put a 10-acre solar field into that neighborhood. So the O'Shea folks have the longest history of this, and I went and I sat with them when I started. I said, tell me how I should do this citywide. And they gave me advice on how to set this up, and I was really pleased that when we went for our applications, the O'Shea neighborhood was the very first one to come in and say, we want to expand our solar field. The solar field's a good neighbor, and with the community benefits, it's going to allow us to strengthen our homes. So we had an initial group of 27 neighborhoods in this city that held neighborhood meetings. Then we got down to 18 or 19, and I want to thank our solar power partners and nonprofits. We had 8 organizations who are passionate believers in renewable energy. And I found they also were tired of people giving goals and meetings. They wanted to do something. These 8 organizations actually sat in the meetings in the neighborhoods and told people how solar worked, gave people help on how we put together a community benefits package, and they really became a part of the neighborhoods. You're going to get a chance to hear from one of them as well. But those 8 climate change organizations that supported us on this, I am enormously grateful to. So we ended up with 19 neighborhoods who went to that level. 10 submitted a final proposal. where they define both, this is where we want the solar panels, and here is the benefit zone where the homeowners in this zone can get improvements to their own homes to be adjacent to it. We review those 10, and we have today picked 9 finalists. Those 9 finalists make up about 350 acres. To power the 127 city buildings, we only need about 250 acres. So of the 9 finalists, we are going to pick 6 winners in the first quarter of next year. So we're going to cut from 9 today to 6 in the first quarter. Those will ultimately go to Detroit City Council to make that final decision. Let me show you who the 9 are, and then I'm going to tell you what the process is going to be to get to the final 6. So these are our 9 neighborhoods: the Trinity Pickford neighborhood in District 1, the Griggsdale and State Fair neighborhoods in District 2, Greenfield Park, I-75 McNichols, Mount Olivet, and Van Dyke and Lynch in District 3, Gratiot and Finley, and Houston, Whittier, Hayes in District 4, and the O'Shea neighborhood wanting to expand in District 7. Those are our 9 finalists. You're going to hear from some of those neighbors today. They have proposed 340 acres. I have to cut that down in the first quarter next year to 6 neighborhoods and 250 acres. And you can kind of see on this map, they are pretty well spread from the far east side to the far west side. And I want to show you a few pictures to give you a sense of why I believed in this process and why I'm so pleased at what's happened. This is the Gratiot Finley area. Who's here from Gratiot Finley? Okay, so we've got a homeowner here. This area here on the left is where they are proposing the solar fields go. There is almost nothing in the way of occupied houses. But just a few blocks away, look at this street. It's beautiful. And they are living next to that. Under this proposal, the neighbors here would get a community benefit, be somewhere between $10,000 to $25,000 a house to improve the energy efficiency of their house. So depending on how big their solar field is, the bigger the benefit is. But these houses would get, if they're selected, $10,000 to $25,000 for new windows, for roof repairs, for a new furnace, for a new hot water heater, for a backup battery when there's power outages. They will get to decide house by house. If your benefit in your area is $15,000, you'll pick the range of improvements for your house, just like we did for near the Gordie Howe Bridge, where all the noise was coming adjacent to 75. We did 175 houses we essentially soundproofed, and all 175 homeowners picked the improvements they wanted. In some cases, they got air conditioning. In some cases, they got better windows. It went extremely well. And so if you are selected, the folks who live over here will get investments. And for the first time that I've been around, your home repair money won't depend on how old you are, won't depend on what your income is. You don't have to qualify for anything. If you're in the benefit zone, you get repairs to your homes. Second one, again, I'm going to show you again, the Mount Olivet area. On the left is the area that they are proposing be a solar field. As you can see, there's very little there. But again, just a few blocks away, look how beautiful that street is. Can you imagine your friends coming to visit you going past this to get to your house, right? Who here is from the Mount Olivet area, right? So am I right about this, right? You got to apologize for your neighborhood. Instead, they could have a nicely fenced solar field here and somewhere between $10,000 and $25,000 a house to do home improvements if you're one of the finalists. And then again, O'Shea, where we've already done it. On the left is the area that the O'Shea group is proposing be solar fields. Again, look at the right. We got some beautiful blocks in the O'Shea neighborhood living next to that. This is the place where our DPW crews are going out every single week and picking up illegal dumping because these neighbors are calling about it. Now, that'll be fenced solar field, and these folks will have money to fix up their homes. That's the vision that we have. We are only going where we are wanted. The city of Detroit is not going any place where the neighbors don't want us. And so we have 9 finalists today, and the question is, how are we going to get to 6? My primary concern is homeowners who live in the solar field areas that have to move, which is, I want to do something for the surrounding neighborhoods, but we've got people who've been in their homes 2-3 generations, and they have to want to move. Now, we are ultimately going to have to condemn the solar field area. We've got probably 500 vacant lots owned by speculators. You heard me talk about this over and over, where the speculators have bought up this land to get rich when we develop. So we have to condemn the area, but what we have is a list of the homeowners in each area. And what I want to see is how many of those homeowners want to move. We've already started making offers. We do a minimum offer of $90,000. We will offer you double what the fair market value of your house is, but we got some houses that are valued at $10,000. We're doing a minimum offer of $90,000 because that gives you enough to move to a new location. If your house is appraised at $10,000, they give you $20,000, you can't move in this city for that. And so we're doing a minimum of $90,000, and a lot of people have said, I want the check, I want to move. Others have said, hey, this was my grandma's house, I don't want to move. And here's the interesting thing. Solar fields don't have to be perfect squares. And so in many cases, we've already started changing the boundaries. So if somebody says, I don't want to move, we may be able to move the fence line so they don't have to. And a number have been happy to find out that now that they're outside the fence line, they get $10,000 to fix up the home that they've been in all this time. I won't tell you that we won't have to do condemnation on anybody, but I want it to be as small as possible. And so these groups, the final 9, have until January 31st to give us documented evidence of support. And so I want signatures by January 31st, 3 things. 1, how many of the homeowners, and it tends to be basically 1 house per block in here, but how many homeowners are willing to accept the offer and want to move? 2nd, how many renters in the solar field area want to move? Now, the renters get 18 months free rent, and we pay to move them. So far, the reaction from the renters has been extremely positive. Most of them would be very happy to take 18 months of free rent at another location. And then 3rd, I want to know how many homeowners in your benefits area want to have the solar fields in their neighborhood. Right now, we've had meetings where we've had hand votes of residents. That's how we got to the final 9. But I want it to be documented, and we will be with you every step of the way with appraisals, talking to homeowners so everybody can make an informed decision. And on January 31st, we're going to see. We also have to make sure your area can be connected to the electrical grid, because once we build the solar fields, you got to connect to the power grid in order to get the power to the city buildings. So that's going to be a factor. But the primary factor is going to be what the neighborhoods do, these final 9, between now and January 31, to prove to us that there is strong support. And my intention is to take the 6 areas that show the strongest support. For a group of neighborhoods that have felt like they've been neglected for a long time, you're going to see huge investment. Now, there's going to be a cost. Today we are writing DTE a check for about $8 million a year to power the 127 buildings. We could have gone to, with the Biden administration support on the subsidy, we could have gone from our current traditional energy to renewable for $8 million a year. But when you add in the community benefits for the surrounding neighbors, it's going to cost us an extra couple of $1 million a year. And so I will next spring be taking to City Council a proposal that will probably be, we'll see what the numbers come out, but it'll probably mean a long-term commitment of somewhere in the range of $10 to $11 million a year in an electric bill instead of $8, because we are investing in the people who stayed. And anybody in these adjoining neighborhoods, they stayed. They stayed in Detroit through the toughest times. They stayed while they watched blight take over their areas. I think these neighborhoods deserve this kind of investment, but it's going to mean that everybody contributes in the form of a little bit higher electric bill. That's the vision of where we are. We'll have a website up shortly so everybody can see where the boundaries are. And our next stage will be post January 31st, when we see the final applications. And then I'm guessing somewhere in April or May, a very intense city council process as council reviews whether we go forward in this direction. But so far, the community and council members have been enormously supportive of the overall direction. They're obviously going to wait and see what the final plans look like. But let me now introduce one of the city's great environmental advocates, the head of the Green Task Force, Councilmember Scott Benson.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor Duggan. So, number one, I am just so excited to be here today, to be a part of something of this nature. And as Mayor Duggan said, being the chair of Detroit's Green Task Force, this also gives me an opportunity to now just see the fruits of the labor of my bosses on the Green Task Force, who have been screaming and yelling and waving the flag about sustainability for decades and have made this type of work their life's work and their commitment. And so it's huge to see the city now leading in another area when it comes to sustainability. And as the Green Task Force has had the opportunity to take decision makers in the Duggan administration, council members, practitioners, to a number of cities to find best practices. And one of the things that we've come back with is that leading with equity and sustainability is critical for the success of a city, and especially cities like Detroit, where we have so many residents who have challenges when it comes to financial issues, as well as some of our neighborhoods that also have challenges, as we've seen earlier here today. And so to be able to stand here and talk about how we're going to bring sustainability investments to our neighborhoods, how we're going to use that sustainability investment to then invest into the homes of our residents who have stayed here is huge. And then how we're going to help clean up our neighborhoods by bringing down blight and really impacting and improving the quality of life. This is just a great way to show how the city of Detroit continues to lead with equity, how the Green Task Force continues to sow the seeds of sustainability and resiliency within the city of Detroit. And I'm just so proud to be here. Number one, because I got a number of my Green Task Force bosses here today. We have some of our subcommittees. We've got Ms. Wilkins up here today. They've been supporting and helping when it comes to giving technical assistance and is helping with the organizing of our communities. So it's really a great day for us, the Green Task Force. It's a great day for the city. And that's where we want to thank the administration for being willing to lead with equity into this space and move Detroit towards where my ultimate goal is to be the greenest, most sustainable city in the United States. And with that, I can't do this type of work at the city council table without my colleagues and Fred Durhall, Councilman Durhall over in the 7th District, who led the way with O'Shea and the original solar panel field that we have in the city of Detroit, Councilman Durhall.
Thank you to Mayor Duggan and Member Benson, and Member Benson is an absolute champion. I tell the story that Member Benson taught me what the compost is and where to put that in that box, and I thank him for that, as well as the Green Task Force. I am very excited about today for a couple of reasons. When I came into office, folks talked about 2016, particularly in the O'Shea area where those solar panels were. And the discussion was, where are we going to go from here? What now? And so we have now seen, in this initiative coming forward, a beacon of hope for that community and pushing that community forward based off of the promises that have come in 2016. A lot of lessons learned, obviously, as we try to transition. There's a lot to learn as far as renewable energy is concerned. But one of the things that is promising is that our community leaders who have stuck and stayed, like Mr. Colbert, who you'll hear from momentarily, they're excited about this program. They're excited about the community engagement. They're excited that the city is saying, we have not forgotten about you. We're coming back around. And now we have an opportunity that not only benefits that area for solar, but benefits the actual residents that live there with upgrades to their homes. When you talk about $10,000 to $25,000, that is a lot of money for folks to upgrade their homes and ensure that they are energy efficient. And so I am happy to stand here today with all of these great partners, particularly of I-96 in the O'Shea area, who has submitted an application for 62 acres. 62 acres. okay, here to help us get where we want to be, which is a cleaner, a safer, and a greener Detroit. And so with that, I know I speak particularly for District 7. I'm a little bit biased, but this obviously will help the entire city of Detroit. And here to talk a little bit about that is another partner that we have, our at-large council member, Member Coleman Alexander Young II, who will come up and say a few words.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. The people who we have standing behind me, these are people who stayed through the good times and the bad, rain, sleet, snow, 30 degrees below, 10 toes down for the city. And I think one of the great things about the mayor, and I want to thank his leadership as well as my council partners, is when you use the power of government and elected officials to help those who've helped the city run for so long, to help those who can't help themselves, or to help those who've been forgotten, who've been neglected, to be a voice for the voiceless and help for the helpless and hope for the hopeless. And that's what this represents. Through clean energy, I was reading a report and it said that 54% of African Americans in the city of Detroit are energy burdened, which means they receive 10% or more of their income on energy. So to have a program like this, and there's some people in the city of Detroit where they spend 30% of their income on energy. So to have a program like this is really helping people at a time of need across the city when they need it the most. And so I want to thank DTE, I want to thank the city of Detroit, and I want to thank all the people here, because this is who made it happen, coming to public comment. You know, and most of the time it's been good. Sometimes it's been hard, you know, but most of the time it's been good. Most of the time it's been a learning experience, and it's really helped us get and culminate and shape this moment right here. And so this is one of my proudest moments, because we're using what we have here to be able to help people be able to not have to make those decisions if, am I going to pay my gas bill or am I going to keep lights on in the house? Am I going to be able to pay for prescription drugs, or is my kids going to be able to have clothes and food today? We are reducing that by lowering the cost of energy, and we're being green and clean and responsible. So I appreciate that, and it's an honor and privilege to be here. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from the people that are up here as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Young. I appreciate you pointing out our desire to lower energy burden for folks in the city. That's one of the things that came from our conversations with our what we call neighborhood solar partners, who've been working with us throughout this process to really engage with the community and make sure that everybody understood what we were trying to do with this project. So with that, I want to introduce one of our neighborhood solar partners, Donnell Wilkins, who's been a great partner to me since I started this role in terms of helping me to understand, you know, things that we could do as a city to be more sustainable, and she's been doing the work on the ground for a number of years. So I'm going to bring up Donnell Wilkins.
Well, hello. Thank you, Jack, for that nice introduction. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your leadership with casting this vision. Thank you, council members, for supporting and standing in the gap and making certain that this gets to the finish line. I am Donnell Wilkins. I am the founder and the CEO of the Green Door Initiative. It is a nonprofit environmental justice organization headquartered in the city of Detroit. I've had the great pleasure of serving Detroit in the capacity of environmental justice to ensure that everyone has the ability to live out a sustainable lifestyle, regardless of income, zip code, and race. And so to hear about what the mayor was thinking about and to be invited into the space as a partner just brightened my heart, because we have been working towards a goal of equity and justice, particularly in the energy space, with our Motor City to Solar City project, where we're modeling what it looks like to make certain that community solar becomes a true reality. And with the mayor's leadership and the community benefits, it allows us to do that. As a partner, being involved in District 2, hearing from the residents, being able to provide any kind of support and information so they can make informed decisions has been a real benefit to me and to our organization. And to know that we are listed among the finalists so far is really very rewarding. The idea of community benefits being invested in communities that have been underserved and perhaps people feeling like they've just been neglected is just a big lift for our community, for our city. To envision the city being a leader in this nation, to showcase what it looks like, is extremely exciting to me, and to be a part of just the multitude of partners in terms of city council, the mayor, department heads, community leaders, and others. I serve also as a co-chair of the Green Task Force Climate Change Committee. And for me, this is reality-based. This is climate change is real. I don't deny it, and many of us don't. This type of program reduces our carbon footprint. It removes that challenge of energy insecurity, housing insecurity, and it creates an opportunity for all of us to thrive. That's the equity, that's the justice, that's the opportunity, and to reduce the burden of the energy costs for the city helps all of us, taxpayers and what have you. I'm a lifelong Detroiter. I'm excited. I am glad to be a part of this, and I thank you for having us over at the Green Door Initiative champion this cause and helping Detroit become the best leader around sustainable development and sustainability. Thank you.
The mayor pointed out at the beginning that one of the first places we went was back to the O'Shea neighborhood, or Grandale neighborhood with O'Shea Park. And Mr. Colbert was one of the people that helped us with getting people to the table by hosting us for our community meeting. So I want to bring him up to speak a little bit about the process as well.
Well, good afternoon, and I am so excited to be here to be a part of this process. The Detroit Impact Center, which is in the heart of the O'Shea Solar Park that already existed right off of Greenfield in '96, has been a part of the community. And in this process, we were right there, meeting after meeting after meeting. And that's what made this process so exciting. Involvement of the residents that are being directly affected by what we were doing here with the solar park. As it was mentioned, the O'Shea Solar Park was in existence from the DTE initiative. Many of the residents felt like they did not have the input. They did not have a decision-making in the process. This process here, the residents were a part of it all the way. I give great standing to the information that was shared with the residents for them to make a decision for themselves, to empower themselves with the future. Climate, addressing it as a community was a great opportunity. We're looking at our expansion of the existing solar park now as being an expansion into a benefit that benefits our city, knowing that the energy from this is going to help defer the power energy for our city, our municipal buildings. The process was exciting. I heard the residents voice their choices. Walker Miller came in, answered questions, made sure that when you left the meeting, anything that you had was qualified, answered. That's what I felt was the greatest asset of this project. The mayor brought to us an opportunity. The people listened, and they took advantage of the opportunity to make a difference in their community. Mona and Ray Solomon we're right there on the ground, boots on the ground, knocking on doors. You know, as the mayor had mentioned, now they got services that they were looking for that they found through this process. Picking up of garbage is something that we saw that made a difference through this initiative. So again, Detroit Impact was so proud to be a part. We're still going to process this. Thank for being one of the 9. And thank you once again for allowing us to represent the city of Detroit as it moves forward. Thank you.
And now I wanted to start bringing up some residents who are involved in this process. The first one we're going to bring up is Ms. Misha Parker.
Hello, everyone. I'm honored to be here today to represent my block club, which is Karen Neighborhood Block Club, and we're in the Gratiot and Finley area. I would like to say that I'm looking forward to the solar panels. It will help my community. They will help us with the police station and the fire department for the safety of our well-being. It will help us to be able to participate more into our community with our children, our grandchildren, and the senior citizens as well. I've been living over there for like 18 years, and I have been volunteering at the Matrix, at the community center. They have been helping me and my neighbors to uplift our homes and neighborhoods. We also come out and clean up our neighborhoods. We also see that there is a lot of abandonments, which the mayor has been improving in. And I would like to say I'm looking forward to the solar panels so it could be safe for our neighborhood and so we could participate in any events that's coming up in the near future. Thank you.
And one of the first community meetings we had was, it was a rainy day in a backyard of the Kelseys here. So I'm going to bring them up to talk about their experience in the Mount Olivet community.
Good afternoon. My name is Linda Kelsey, and we've been working in the neighborhood a long time. There's been Blake, it's been a lot of different stuff in the neighborhood that happened in the neighborhood. But I thank for Mr. Benson and the mayor and their staff that came out and looked around and helped us to clean up some of the tear some of the buildings down, that cars were stowed in there, and a lot of different stuff that was happening. And it's looking much better. And I like to thank Miss Kate. She been in the corner all the time. So I just like to thank her for helping us, and the mayor and Mr. Benson and the rest of you all. Mount Olivet. You want to say something?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Keith Kelsey. I'm Linda Kelsey's husband. Miss Kelsey is our block leader, and I'm just helping out. And this is a great opportunity for our neighborhood. We had a serious fire in that neighborhood about 10 years ago, windswept, and it blowed about 3 blocks of houses, 4 blocks of houses. And a lot of those houses were vacant. A lot of houses were empty. They got burned up, and it left a lot of empty space in our neighborhood. And I used to watch the news conferences all around the city and see these other neighborhoods getting new houses, getting renovations and development. And I said, well, when is our time going to come, And I think our time has come now with this solar panel initiative. We've been dealing with Ms. Sessions for the last 10 years or so. She's been in our neighborhood with Green for Life to come in and help clean up our neighborhood, clean up the blight, remove tires. We had a serious dumping problem in our neighborhood. She helped us clean that up. And she came to us with this solar initiative. And I think it's an excellent idea. The city needs to save money, and solar power is coming whether you like it or not. It's going to be here one way or the other. And I'm glad we are being able to get in on the ground floor of a city initiative to improve our neighborhood. I was a former city worker, and I've been in this city all my life, and I've been working here for the city for 40 years, and I've been in my neighborhood for 30 years. And it's good to see the city come through with some kind of idea, some kind of plan to help us out. Thank you.
So when we kicked this off in June, I did not know how we would be received, but you've got a passionate group in 9 neighborhoods in this city, and we'll wrap up this competition. Before I take questions, we have some folks here, probably should be in the front, Patricia Stein, our policy director, Ray Solomon and Aaron Harris, the Department of Neighborhoods. They have been working long hours to pull this off, and thank you to the 3 of you for what you've done. And with that, we'll take questions. Go ahead.
Hi, Nina Ignazik with Planet Detroit and Bridge Detroit. Wondering if you can talk a little bit more about that extra $2 million a year that you mentioned that this will cost. How long will that be for?
Yeah.
What is the estimation on your return on investment for this?
So we'll give you numbers when we have final bids in from whoever we pick, and we expect we're going to take proposals from national solar providers. So DTE might bid, but a number of national people will bid. What we know right now is we write $8 million a year in check, and energy costs are going like that. And so with the renewables, we believe it'd probably be a touch cheaper over the long run. But if you want to add the benefits to fix up the houses in the area, if we believe as a city that's a priority for the neighbors who are hosting, then it'd be an extra couple of $1 million a year. So what it means is in 2027, instead of the city having a $1.2 billion budget, it'd be $1.2 billion, and then $2 million somebody's going to have to make a decision on it at budget time. I think it's a modest contribution for these neighborhoods that have long been deserving of investment. Any other questions? All right, thank you all very much for being here. We'll be talking to you guys in the coming weeks.
All right. Good to see you again, Mr. Duggan.
Yes, sir. Love you, brother. Okay, you back.
Good to see you. Nice to meet you.
It's good to see you. We'll get together.